The moon had no name, just a string of numbers and letters etched into some forgotten Accord registry. It hung above the shattered remains of Xerxes Prime, where once a star blazed and now only silence reigned. A lifeless rock, wrapped in pale ash storms and the magnetic hum of deep space decay. Commander Ileana Voss stood at the edge of a fissured cliff, her boots crunching over glassy obsidian. The air was thin, barely filtered by her helmet. Behind her, the shuttle HFY gleamed dull silver under a fading sun. Around her, her crew set up temporary scaffolding and atmospheric converters, but she wasn't watching them. She was staring at it. The Titan. It stretched across the valley floor like a god brought low. 5 kilometers of cracked, decaying biomechanical armor, its surface scarred, half buried in volcanic debris, limbs twisted like fallen monoliths. Optical arrays, once brilliant, were now darkened sockets. The creature's core thorax pulsed faintly with slow, dim light, like the final breath of a dying star. "This is it?" murmured Lieutenant Sung beside her. "The Great Corval TUM?" Ileana's jaw tightened. "Yes. The Accord left it here 52 years ago. Declared it irrecoverable. Too costly. Too dangerous." Sung shook his head. "It looks dead." "It's not." She turned on her heel and strode toward the base camp. Inside the portable ops module, she tapped through data logs. Accord assessments, all the same, structurally unsalvageable. Neural decay at 96%. Risk outweighs benefit. Do not engage. She ignored them. Humanity hadn't joined the Accord to sit politely at the sidelines. "Run a deep spectrum scan," she said aloud. "I want to know if there's anything left of its mind." "Already on it," Sung replied, fingers gliding across the hollow console. "But Commander, if it is alive, why hasn't it done anything in half a century?" "Because everyone left it to die," she said quietly. "Maybe it stopped believing anyone would come back." A ping echoed from the terminal. The crew fell silent. On screen, a waveform flickered. Weak. Jagged. But unmistakably patterned. "That's a neuropulse," Sung said, stunned. "Minimal. But active." Then, a transmission crackled over the open channel. A voice, distorted, low, stretched like rusted metal. "Help?" No one moved. Ileana leaned closer to the mic. "This is Commander Voss of the Earth vessel HFY. We hear you. We're here to assist." A pause. Static. "Why?" she exhaled. "Because you're not dead. That's reason enough." Sung gave her a nervous glance. "Commander, this changes everything. The Accord." "I know." They didn't have to wait long. A hollow projection snapped into view beside the command tent, a flickering image of Chancellor Virex Dal of the Sathek Consortium. Cold, elegant, with coal-black eyes and a face like carved granite. "Commander Voss," he said without greeting, "your scans have triggered unauthorized activation protocols. You are in violation of Accord Directive 7C. Ileana didn't flinch. "We detected neural activity. The Titan is alive. Marginally. It has been deemed functionally inert and strategically obsolete. It's sentient." Virex's voice was a whisper of scorn. "And what exactly do you intend to do with a half-dead god machine, Commander? Hug it back to health?" "I intend to help it survive. That's what we do." Virex's projection narrowed its eyes. "You're overstepping. Cease all interaction. Withdraw." "Not happening." Silence crackled over the line. Virex leaned forward, as if through the projection. "If that thing reactivates, and causes any escalation, Earth will not be shielded from the consequences. I'll take full responsibility. I assure you, you will." The hollow vanished. Sung broke the silence. "So we're doing this?" "Yes." She moved to the cargo hold. "Get the solar relays online. Patch whatever auxiliary power we can into its core frame. If we can stabilize the cranial node, it might respond more clearly." An hour later, the winds began to shift. As the first relay surged with power, the Titan shuddered. Not movement, just a vibration deep in the ground. Stones danced along the valley floor. From deep within the machine, lights blinked to life. One eye. Then another. Flickering, like a child awakening in a storm. A new transmission came through, cleaner this time. Slower. Softer. A long time. Ileana approached the nearest interface node, placing her gloved palm on the scarred alloy. "You're not alone anymore," she whispered. A sound resonated in the earth, not speech, but a low, mournful hum. As if the Titan were singing to itself in the dark. "Commander," Sung said, his voice hushed. "Are we sure it's safe?" "No," she said. "But it's alive." "That's enough." Behind her, the crew moved in silence. Around them, the ancient shell of a forgotten warrior began to breathe again. The grave wasn't silent anymore. And the galaxy had just heard a heartbeat that was never meant to return. Corval's hum lingered beneath the surface like a lullaby echoed from a forgotten time. It resonated in the scaffolding, in the consoles, in the bones. Commander Ileana Vaz sat cross-legged on a crate outside the command tent, a data slate resting on her knee. Her injured hand throbbed beneath the bandages from a minor neurofeedback surge. First contact always left scars. The Titan's energy levels had stabilized at 2.3%. Not enough to move. Just enough to whisper. "Run the neural sync again," she told Lieutenant Sung, who was tinkering with the relay links. "Slower this time. Less bandwidth. No pressure on its core." He looked hesitant. "Commander, the last sync nearly shorted the whole AI grid. It's too unstable. It's trying to speak. We need to listen." Sung adjusted the uplink and activated the sync. The field shimmered around the link array. Ileana leaned forward and let the interface halo settle over her head. The world blinked. She stood on a battlefield, though not one of Earth. Burning stars. Shattered moons. The air screamed. Corpses drifted. Biomex and steel leviathans disemboweled in silence. Above, something vast loomed, Corval as he had been, magnificent, terrible, alive. But even in his might, he hesitated. He looked down on children huddled behind rubble. He turned away from a tactical strike. He chose mercy. Then came the punishment. The Accord's ancient voice echoed like law written in fire. "Deviation from protocol. Asset Corval TUM is compromised. Decommission." Ileana snapped back to reality with a gasp. Cold sweat streaked her temple. Corval's voice came soft, carried through the interface console. "You saw me." "Yes," she whispered. "You were different from the others. You chose not to kill. I disobeyed." "No. You acted." She sat up straighter. "That matters." Corval was quiet for a moment, as if weighing the thought. "What is disobedience, if it saves life?" Ileana smiled faintly. "It's called humanity." Corval didn't respond right away. A pulse flickered across the valley floor. Panels along his flank opened, revealing scorched engravings, ancient writing, like fractured bone script. "Humanity, you are new to me. The others did not speak this way. They called you obsolete," Ileana said. "But they're wrong. You're not a weapon." "Not anymore." The Titan's voice turned thoughtful. "I remember fire. I remember silence. I remember waiting. The void was so long." She glanced at her crew working around them, heads bowed, listening as if the ground itself told a story. "You're not alone anymore." Later that night, under a burnt orange sky, the first song played. It was a simple Terran melody, one of Ileana's childhood lullabies, compressed and transmitted into Corval's audio processors. It was meant to test tonal interpretation, but it did more. A low harmonic answered. Rough, uneven, but unmistakably a response. Corval was singing back. Inside the tent, Sung leaned on the console, brow furrowed. "This isn't just AI recovery. His consciousness is adapting. Rebuilding. That's what healing looks like," Ileana replied. Sung exhaled. "You're still thinking of him as a person." "I'm not thinking. I'm listening." And he speaks like someone in pain. Pain can make monsters, Sung warned. Or it can make us human. The next day, the power grid failed. A solar inverter exploded near the rear relay. Sparks rained down. 2 engineers barely made it out in time. Emergency power kicked in, but half the systems dropped. Sung was the first to the wreckage. His voice came through comms. Sabota. This wasn't system failure. Ileana's eyes narrowed. Get the logs. I want every connection traced. Within minutes, the data came back. A foreign signal, cloaked, clean, efficient, had slipped through the perimeter the night before. Accord Tech. Military grade. Virex, she muttered. A new transmission came in. The Chancellor's image hovered above the ground, his tone colder than before. I warned you, Commander. Unauthorized intervention in classified derelicts violates section. You tried to kill my crew. I took preemptive action to protect galactic stability. Corval is stable. Corval is an anomaly. And anomalies are threats. Ileana stepped forward, eyes locked on the projection. You're not afraid of Corval. You're afraid of what he says about us. That we help what you discard. Virex didn't answer. His image fizzled out. Night fell again. The camp lay quiet. Corval's voice came without prompt, deep and almost mournful. They do not want me. They left me, broke me. Now I live. Why? Ileana stood outside, gazing up at the stars. Because you're not theirs anymore. You're yours. I feel weight. Not mass. Something heavier. Guilt? Regret. That's something only the living carry. Another long silence. Then, will you leave me too? She looked at the horizon, where the edges of the Titan's body glowed faintly under the moonlight. No. We don't leave our own. Not when they're still fighting. At dawn, Corval's voice returned, this time smoother. Confident. I would be more. Not weapon. Not burden. I would be protector. Ileana smiled. Then let's make you one. The warning klaxon wailed once, then died mid-tone. Inside the command tent, every screen flickered red. Lieutenant Sung leaned over the diagnostics, pale under the dull emergency lights. Core energy destabilizing. Fusion node integrity down to 20%. Ileana Voss didn't move. Her knuckles were white around the edge of the table. If it collapses? She asked quietly. Sung's voice dropped. It'll shut down permanently. Best case, inert forever. Worst case, full core implosion. Everyone within a mile dies. Outside, the body of Corval Tuum lay silent. The subtle pulses of light that had marked his recovery were gone. Not dimmed. Gone. I don't think he's dying, Ileana said. I think he's letting go. Sung stared at her. Why? Because he thinks he's not wanted. The repair access point was buried in the Titan's sternum, 5 stories deep, between interlocked vertebrae of alloyed bone and reactive synthetic muscle. Ileana donned the exosuit herself. No one argued. She sealed her helmet and turned to her crew. Keep the relay stable. Don't lose uplink. If I'm not out in 20 minutes. Sung interrupted, voice sharp. Don't finish that sentence. She nodded once and climbed into the chute. Inside the Titan, it felt like entering a cathedral built for no god. Walls pulsed faintly with dead circuits. The deeper she moved, the more it felt like a living memory, like Corval's body remembered what it once was and mourned its own decay. Corval, she said, her voice transmitted directly into the core. No answer. She reached the fusion regulator, black and cracked. 3 out of 4 stabilizer columns had failed. The 4th trembled, flickering between phases. I'm here, she whispered, pulling open the panel. You're not done. She bypassed the feedback relay, routing the energy into her exosuit's emergency reservoir. It wasn't made for this. A human nervous system wasn't either. The pain came instantly. She gritted her teeth, overriding the failsafes. Her left hand began to twitch uncontrollably. Her vision blurred. but the stabilizer slowed its tremble. Almost there, she hissed, punching in the override code. Then the fourth stabilizer surged with light. And everything went white. Above ground, the sky cracked open. Corval's frame lit up in golden arcs, lines of energy racing across his limbs like veins awakening after long sleep. The ground shook, not with violence, but with breath. A deep tone vibrated through the soil. Not a sound. A presence. The Titan was alive. His voice boomed across the plain. I live. Ileana woke to warmth. Soft light. She was floating. No pain. Am I dead? You are not, said a voice, impossibly close yet distant. You reached for me. I caught you. She opened her eyes. She was inside Corval's mind. Or memory. It was hard to tell. He appeared before her, not as metal, but as a humanoid figure made of shifting starlight. An approximation of understanding. You accessed my core, he said. Risked yourself for what others abandoned. I told you, she whispered, still dazed. You weren't alone. Corval knelt. I have no words sufficient. Only action. I will stand. And I will protect. She woke in the medical bay. Her left arm was gone from the elbow down, fused carbon had melted into flesh. Sung stood nearby, eyes wide with disbelief. He lifted you out himself, he said. Cradled you like a kid holding a bird. You saved him. No, she murmured. We saved each other. An hour later, a transmission came through. Unencrypted. Obvious. A fleet had arrived. Dozens of Accord warships floated just outside the moon's atmosphere. Chancellor Vyrex's voice played over all frequencies. You have awakened a Class 9 Titan weapon. Stand down and prepare for deactivation. Humanity has overstepped. Surrender the machine. Corval, fully conscious, rose from the valley. His shadow stretched for miles. Commander, he said, his voice now strong, lyrical, terrifying. May I respond? Ileana stood beside him, battered, exhausted, one arm gone, and smiled. Speak your truth. Corval's voice projected across every comm band in the system. I was left to die. They buried me beneath silence. Only one species stayed. Only one listened. His body unfurled, massive arms extending outward, but not in aggression. I am not a weapon. I am not a threat. I am a survivor. I choose who I stand with. Then, he connected to the galaxy-wide Accord stream and broadcasted everything. His memories, the abandonment, the pain, the song, the human words, Ileana's voice as she said, You're not a weapon to us. You're a person. The universe watched. On the Accord Council worlds, silence reigned. Billions of citizens viewed a Titan not of conquest, but of compassion. An ancient guardian, reborn, not by conquest, but by mercy. Support for Vyrex plummeted overnight. News feeds flooded with questions. Debates. Demands. Ileana stood at the base of Corval's newly lit heart, her remaining hand resting against his armor. What now? Sung asked beside her. She looked to the stars. We make sure he's not the last. Days passed. Corval built a home in the crater that once entombed him. Not a fortress, something simpler. A shrine, maybe? A reminder of what was lost. And what could be found again. Then, one evening, a signal came through, ancient, fragmented, and slow. Not from the Accord. Not from any known source. Corval translated it aloud, and the stars seemed to hold their breath. To the species who stayed, we are listening. Ileana looked up, heart pounding. Another Titan was waking. And this time, they wouldn't wake alone.